If you are watching this on YouTube, please don't forget to press the subscribe button below. It's free. Then you'll receive the latest notifications of videos. Good morning, everyone. Welcome to Miracle Network's Wednesday Meditation. This morning we have Carolina Corada, who will lead us in meditation, and then we'll have 20 minutes of silence. After that, we open it up for sharing, and we end at 10:45. Over to you, Carolina.
Thank you. Thank you for having me, and thank you for being here this morning. Today, I was very guided to lesson 194, which says, bear with me because I know it in Spanish, as you all know, I'm from Spain. I'm coming to you from Ibiza, Spain. Lesson 194 says, I place the future in the hands of God. Now, why was I particularly called to this lesson? In paragraph 4 of this lesson, there's a particular idea there that I find powerful and moving, and I wanted to share it with you. It says, and so you are not asked to understand the lack of sequence really found in time. And this time here pertains to linear time, yes? The only time possible, because in eternity there is no time. So it says, you are not asked to understand lack of sequence really found in time. You are but asked to let the future go and place it in God's hands. So for me, oops, am I still in here? I lost the Zoom. Oh, here I am. So I've been going deeper into the idea offered by the Course, very specifically around time, the collapsing of time, and the holy instant. And this phrase in lesson 194 speaks about linear time and about surrendering the time to God, to the Holy Spirit. So in the first chapters of the Course in Miracles, it speaks about time and the holy instant. And if we look at the holy instant, and this is my invitation to you today, if you look at the holy instant as the miracle, the change of perception, the instant where time, linear time as we know it, disappears, and we are completely receptive to this moment here in present time, judgmentless, without any judgment, just joining our minds together. And the holy instant is where time collapses. And this is an experience that I've been having for quite a while. What does the collapsing of time mean? What does the holy instant do for me as a mystic, as a spiritual teacher, as a student? And it all has to do with the time that I thought I needed to heal my mind, with the time I thought my process needed. So I ask myself, and I ask you, are you willing to let go of the idea that there is a process to remember God? And I'm leaving that as a question. Are you receptive to acknowledging that when you are and I am open to a holy instant, time as I know it disappears, and there is a shift in my perception. This is why, for me, lesson 194 absolutely supports the idea of the collapsing of time, the holy instant, the miracle, change of perception. And we are told, do not expect, well, we don't expect, it says, you're not expected, says what lesson 194 says. And it's very sweet of Jesus to say this. You're not expected, my dear child, to understand linear time. You are not expected to understand that linear time doesn't really exist, but you are expected to put your future in the hands of God. Needless to say, that somehow means that we have no future, that I have no future with you and you have no future. We only have this holy instant in the present moment where each one of us is allowing spirit to lighten up our mind, our emotions, our physical, our human experience in order to live in this world, knowing that we are not of this world. So the miracle and opening receptively to the miracle would be the paving way to the holy instant that collapses the time. The miracle as the shift of perception, the correction by our holy teacher, where I, as a student, as a mystic, as a devotee of the light, allow the miracle to change my perception. I no longer struggle against the miracle. I no longer defend my belief system, but I allow the miracle that happens through the Holy Spirit to change my perception. And as that happens, as my perception is changed, a holy instant occurs. I have a new perception that is free of human judgment, that is free of comparison, free of opinions, just in a moment that is outside of linear time. It's not like between past and future, it's outside linear time. And we don't need to understand this, but we do need to be open to the willingness of placing my future in God's hands. I will allow the Holy Spirit to show me that there is no other way. When I read, I place my future in God's hands as if I had another choice. But to be at peace with the idea that I have no control over the future, that there is no way that I can plan ahead and have that truly happen. The only way for me to be in constant peace of mind is to place my future in God's hands and thus allow for the collapsing of time, for the experience that the time that I thought I needed, I don't. I don't need that time. It's up to the Holy Spirit. It can be a shift of mind that occurs now, immediately, in an instant. And I have the experience of peace that brings along. So I want to invite you to a quiet surrender of the future, a quiet surrender of the idea that any one of us is in control of time, a quiet surrender and receptiveness to the collapsing of time, to the letting go of linear time as I know it, and to calling forth the Holy Spirit and allowing Him to take a hold of my time at this moment. So I'm just going to invite with a thought. I'd like you to close your eyes and I'll invite this with a thought. And then lovely Teresa will ring a bell for us and we can go into a deep meditation until she rings the bell again. So please just bring to your mind the Holy Spirit, as in a prayer. Holy Spirit, I am here, join with like-minded brothers and sisters. I am here only to call forth your correction. I am open to you in my mind, in my heart, in my physical experience. I allow you and authorize you, my dear beloved teacher and pacifier. I allow you to take over my mind and my thoughts and make all the corrections that you deem necessary for me to experience this holy instant of communion, this change of perception that only you can grant. And I open my heart, my emotions, my feelings to you and welcome you in my heart and my emotions and in my feelings so that everything that at this moment in time needs your correction, I am willing to receive. I am receptive to you, thus I authorize you to make all the changes, corrections, and shifts of perceptions in my emotions that you deem necessary at this point in time. And I invite you also to my physical experience, to my human experience, where I open my arms, my heart, my mind to you, and no resistance is present anymore. Just surrender and love and a welcoming hello, Holy Spirit. I am willing to accept your help in surrendering my future to God, to you. So let's just take a deep breath.
Open your eyes and come back into the room. We have 13 minutes left for sharing your reflections and your questions. If you'd like to speak, raise your hand, or you can use the electronic hand at the bottom of the screen, and I'll invite you to take yourself off mute. Who'd like to share? Jim, take yourself off mute.
Yes, thank you, Dan, and thank you, Carolina. It's good to be reminded that not only are we not in charge of the future, but we haven't got one. Because what I realized actually when you were speaking was that I've always had a grievance against the body, feeling it was limiting me in some way. Well, not always, but I mean, when it's been in perfect health, of course, I don't have any grievance, but there's a grievance waiting to spring up whenever I don't have perfect health. You know, if I've had a cold or whatever it might be, or anything that needs the body's attention in regards to medical matters. And I've recently noticed a grievance about getting old, which is all about the future, of course, because at this very moment, I'm not getting old. I'm only getting old in the mind. And so, yeah, the words you shared were very good for that. But anyway, I don't think I've got much more to say, but I need to give up this grievance. Because what I do recognize also is that in my dreams, I seem to be quite a bit younger. And I also sometimes meet people, you know, when they were younger. And because I wake up, then I realize, oh, I'm 75. And I'm back in this body. And it can be a bit of a shock sometimes. But anyway, ultimately, as you know, we're not a body. This moment, I'm not aging. This moment, I'm free. And that's what the meditation's for, and the holy instant. So thanks for another reminder. That's me.
Thank you. Can I say something?
Please.
Well, thank you for that, James. So charming. Thank you. With this particular lesson and how the Course in Miracles calls us to look at the way we experience the linear time, the idea of linear time, past, present, future. I don't think it's a reminder. I truly don't feel it as a reminder. I feel it as a lesson to be accepted and a shift to happen from within. I think there's a strength in this. And when I started, I'm currently holding a group in Spanish, and we're only working around time and eternity through the book. And the course begins speaking about time and the collapsing of time since from chapter 1 until the end. And it kind of introduces very gently, because of course Jesus knew that the ego mind, which is this character here, will not be open to the idea of linear time being non-existent, because apparently this is where we live in the dream. We live in time. So for me, it's not a reminder. Let me just invite you to the opening of the mind in that sense. It's not a reminder, it's a lesson to be accepted. If I accept that I have no future, if I accept that I don't live in linear time, then what is the result of that acceptance? And there is a very powerful shift from within. So
Yes, thank you, Luke. That's helpful, Carolina. Thank you.
I'll jump in here. Yeah, thank you for that, Carolina. I really got a lot out of that, and I'm curious about the present moment. Is that the same as the holy instant?
Well, see, the present moment, if we are to talk, Imagine that the blue is the future and the red is the past. This is in linear time, right? And apparently the present moment is in the middle, like a sandwich, as if the present moment was just a little slice of cheese in the middle, right? This is the idea the ego has offered us of linear time. And when we speak, oh yes, this present moment, we think it's here in the middle, right? Where the past is past and the future is not here, right? So I'm in the middle. But the truth of the matter is that the present moment is nowhere to be found in linear time. And this is what the holy instant is opening up and to an experience that is not contained in linear time. This is why the holy instant is so transformative and so healing and so collapsing of time, because it's not contained in time. It couldn't be contained in time because the holy instant is brought forth to us, to each one of us, through the Holy Spirit. And the Holy Spirit uses our belief in linear time to help us to discard the linear time. So if you speak of the present moment as it being between past and present, I mean past and future, absolutely not. That's not the holy instant. But the present moment is the eternal. The present moment, the true present moment, not the description that the ego makes of it, but the true present moment. Of course, yes, it is the holy instant. That's why it's just an instant, because as humans in this dream, our mind could not withstand not being in linear time until the mind has been completely healed. So it's an instant, it's a reference of an experience that is not in time, where all forgiveness or absolute love can be experienced for an instant. The mind without judgment, the mind in the eternal. So I hope that helps.
Yeah, thank you. Who would like to share? Lottie, take yourself off mute.
Thank you. And that was a most beautiful experience for me, because it was just purely and simply being surrounded and knowing I was surrounded by love and peace for the whole of the time. And the time it was collapsed into that. Thank you.
Thank you. There is an experience, and I've had many of these experiences where time collapses, where the time that I thought I needed, I didn't. And surely enough, I was just reminded of this, and I will share this anecdote with you guys. I'm in a gospel choir. I'm part of a gospel choir. I don't sing very much, but I love the experience of the group and everything and whatnot. So we had class on Monday, and there's a whole bunch of new people coming and blah, blah, blah. And there was this young gentleman, young boy, maybe in his early 20s, that smiled to me over and over. And I thought, I think I know this face, but I didn't remember him. I didn't know from where. And then after the session's over, he walked towards me. He says, "You don't remember me, do you?" And I said, "I remember your face, but I don't remember who you are." He says, "I'm so-and-so, Jordi. I'm Jordi. And I was your English student about 12 years ago, 10 years ago." And it came back to me. And this was the first time I experienced the collapsing of time in ways that are unhuman. And tell you the story. I was invited by a friend to please help a couple of high school students who were not going to graduate high school because they were flunking English. They're Spaniards from Ibiza. They couldn't even say hello. It was like, and they were flunking. So they asked me if I could help them a little bit. And I said, okay, I'll surrender to the Holy Spirit. I'm no longer an English teacher because I haven't been for a while. I surrender. So I go to this house, and these kids had 2 months to train in order to pass the exams so they could graduate. So we worked twice a week, these two boys. I was teaching them English I sort of remember what came through, but after 2 months, they were fluent in English. And all of us, the mothers and the kids and myself, we were like, how did this happen? How did this happen? How can they be speaking English in just 2 months? And I had no experience. I mean, I didn't know what happened. I know something happened. There was a collapsing of time, because it will take you at least 1, 2, or 3 years to speak a language fluently, but they spoke it in 2 months. And then as time passed, and they recommended me, I said, please don't recommend me as an English teacher. This is not what I do. This was just a particular experience. Time went by, and then I thought I had imagined it. I thought I had exaggerated it in my mind. And then this boy, a couple of days ago, comes and says this. And I asked him, and I said, you did learn English in 2 months, didn't you? And he said, that was the most amazing experience of my life. I became an English teacher after that. And I thought, so I thought I needed 3 years to teach English, and it only took 2 months. And I don't know how that happened. I don't know. It wasn't of me. I mean, it was not I, but I do remember the idea that I pitched to them. I told them all the languages are in the mind. You just have to open and tune into that and let that fall into your heart. And I think that's what we did. So it was quite amazing, because I had the reassurance of it a couple days back, just before this meditation. So very amazing, very amazing. So we have to open our minds to be surprised, to be shaken out of our human experience and into the mystic. I mean, this is how I live my life. I don't want to take over you guys, because I am a speaker. So if I start speaking, I won't stop. So please share.
We have time for one more question. Anyone? Norman?
It's not really a question, it's just an experience. My ego led most of it. But towards the end, as I was coming out of it, I realized I was clasping my index finger with my left hand. And I had a distinct awareness. Stop letting your ego direct you, because that's what this finger does. And here it was. Stop letting your ego directing you. You cannot but be in the right place at the right time. So thank you very much, Corada.
Thank you so much. If I may, I'll just try to read that little phrase with which I started before we finished. And I want to invite you to read lesson 194, just for the sake of joy and acceptance. But I will just read this little part, and it says, it's paragraph 4 of lesson 194. It says, and so you are not asked to understand the lack of sequence really found in time. You are but asked to let the future go and place it in God's hands. How powerful is that? This is speaking directly to each one of us. Put your time in God's hands, your future in God's hands. And this is precise. It's not just beautiful poetry. It's precise. It's a practice. We are called to this. And may this be my invitation to you.
Okay, we've come to the end of our time together. Thank you, Carolina. That was lovely. Take yourself off mute, show your appreciation.
Thank you, Carolina.
Thank
Thank
you,
you, everyone.
Thank you, Carolina.
Thank you all.
Thanks
Thank you very much,
lovely,
Carolina.
lovely.
Adios, amigos.
Ciao, 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 ciao.